Hey, it's Drybear. The Lance Master, sorry, the Glaivier is almost upon us in Lost Ark Western release, and there are theories that she may even be arriving as soon as the 14th, which is next week. So if you're like me and you're heavily anticipating the Glaivier or the Lance Master coming with the big spear and glaive combo, today we're going to talk all about what you can do now to prepare for her arrival so that you can boost her up as quickly as possible. We'll talk about exactly how much currency and enhancement materials you'll need to get her through tier 2 and through tier 3, as well as tons of tips and tricks on what you can do on the first day and beyond. So let's get started. But first, if you have any questions or comments for me, you'll find me live every day on twitch.tv/Drybear. Who knows? I might even be streaming right now. We already know that we're going to be given a Phaeton power pass along with the introduction of the Glaivier into the Western client. This means you could either start a brand new Glaivier at level 10 and level them yourself manually, or you can use this power pass they're giving us to get the Glaivier immediately to eye level 960 and land in Phaeton, which places us smack dab in the middle of tier 2. With the power pass, you'll be given blue gear, armor, and weapon that is upgraded to +8 or eye level 960. This means you need to get to eye level 1100 or +15 on every piece before you can exit tier 2 Dupunica and enter tier 3. To do this, you will need actually, let's just say an estimate of these amount of currencies as well as these enhancement materials. These numbers are summed up assuming that you have the tier 2 research in your stronghold, which improves the success chance as well as reducing the cost of every upgrade, and it assumes that you have about average luck, which means you're not winning every hone, but you're not failing miserably. So it's possible you'll need more than what's listed here or less. On average, you're going to need 619,000 silver, 505 gold, 273,000 life shards, or the XP shards in tier 2, 231 fusion materials, nearly 9,000 of the weapon crystals, the destruction crystals, about 27,000 guardian crystals, and 1,035 life leapstones. You may be luckier and get to 1100 faster, but that's on average what it's going to take. Fresh into tier 3 with your 1302 gear that you get from your chaos dungeon, you'll then transfer your gear from tier 2 to tier 3, which gives you a +1. To get from +1 all the way up to +15, which gets you to 1370, allowing you to do Argos, you're going to need about 4,247,000 silver, 11,500 gold, 75,423 Honor Shards for tier 3, nearly 600 of the tier 3 fusion materials, 9,000 of the weapon destruction crystals for tier 3, and 27,000 guardian crystals for armor, as well as 1,130 Honor Leapstones. It's quite a lot. Now, most of these you can actually farm prior to the release of Lance Master or Glaivier, but the ones that are going to give you the most trouble are probably going to be the Honor Shards and the Life Shards, which are usually built up over time through Chaos Dungeons, as well as the Leapstones. Now let's quickly go through all the different ways you can build up these resources now before Glaivier lands in the client, and then we'll get into activities you can do once you have your Glaivier to get moving quickly. You can spend your pirate coins at the traveling merchant ship every single week per character to get upgrade materials. Now, the shards themselves are not tradable, but the crystals are. You can buy tier 3 and tier 2 for every single character that is in that tier, and then you can store them up in your roster storage for when Glaivier comes out. So you have a minimum of 1 weekly reset plus the week that it comes out if it does come out on the 14th, or another week if it does get delayed, to stack these up for every character that you own that is in those tiers. If you have characters in tier 2 and tier 3, you can go through each of them and make sure you do your chaos dungeons for the tradable crystals and the guardian raids for the tradable leapstones and start stocking those up now. Next, you can start running infinite chaos on tier 3 and tier 2 characters to get up the shards of purification so that you can spend these on day 1 with your Glaivier. Pick up the shard pouches, the honor stones, the leap stones, and then tier 2 you can get the shard pouches, which are untradeable. So you can save these up and just have these kind of currencies sitting around ready to go. If there are any challenges you haven't done in the welcome challenge, you can get those done and then leave them unclaimed I have yet to claim on mine the Azure Island, which gives 12,000 life shards. So I'll be waiting to claim this for the Glaivier once it's created. But if you have gone through and you haven't claimed some of these and they have materials on them, you'll want to just leave these here, get them done, and then you can pick them up when your character is created. If you have extra purple crystals or blue crystals, you can go into Mari's shop and buy the items that you would want to have on your Glaivier day one, and then start storing them in your product inventory. For me, I have 12 characters, so I have plenty of the crystals. I'm not too worried about that. It's just the life shards that I'm most concerned about, because those are the hardest to get prior to being able to do daily chaos dungeons. The big thing for this is when you get these in your product inventory, do not claim these until your Glaivier is created. Leave them here. Do not claim them until you're ready. And then once you have these ready to go, you can claim them on the Glaivier. You can start storing up your rift pieces that you get from Chaos Gates that give you the secret maps, which will give you enhancement materials. So you can save up these rift pieces that you have. And then on day one, when the Glaivier is created, you can come to this vendor, the rift piece exchange vendor, and then buy out all the secret maps. And then you'll want to do full rotations with other people, so you get 4 times the loot rather than just doing each map solo. If your characters have been in an active guild and you've been contributing to the research, you should have Smilegate bloodstones built up. You can then come into the honing materials here in the shop and you can buy the tier 2 and the tier 3 items that are tradable, like the destruction stones, guardian stones, and the tier 3 destruction stones, guardian stones. You can also start storing up your coins of courage, which are your PvP tokens. Remember, the higher the rank you get in PvP, the more you can buy out. Unfortunately, most of these are going to be untradable, so you won't be able to store them ahead of time. But if you build up a bunch of coins of courage, the PvP tokens, you can then store those in your roster storage, or just store them in your regular storage, and then you'll be able to spend them when the Glaivier is out and created. Next, you can go to Anguished Isle, which is just south of Punica. This is an island that has its own set of tokens, but you can use it to buy honing materials. On Anguished Isle, every day you'll get a daily repeatable quest that you can accept. You'll have to kill monsters on the island itself, and then you'll get tokens that you can spend. And it's once per roster, which you can be doing right now before Glaivier even comes out. At the exchange vendor, you can exchange out your Crimson Skynes for the Leapstones that come from the Life Leapstone chest and the Honor Leapstone chest. These are untradable to other characters, but you can actually buy these per character and store them in roster storage, and then the Glaivier can open them. So you get 50 Life Leapstones and 50 Honor Leapstones per character. So as long as you're doing your dailies and storing up these tokens here, the Crimson Skynes, you can then pick up 50 Leapstones per character, which is what hold limit means. And you can store them in roster storage in anticipation of Glaivier. Right outside of Yorn is Azure Island. If you've done this and you've unlocked the quest that gives you the tokens on this island, you can store up the tokens, and then the Glaivier can come to this island and get life shards from the merchant, which grants you an extra 3,000 life shards once you pick it up on the Glaivier. Now let's talk about what you can do when the Glaivier is actually released and you have your character. Actually, real quick before we get into that, make sure you make your Glaivier now. What you can do is you can make a martial artist female character and just have it sitting here. Do not go into Trixian and select your advanced class yet. Wait until it's available. And then when you go into Trixian, when it's launched, you can go and select Glaivier. The reason you do this is anytime a character is created and sitting here, even if it hasn't been selected for an advanced class, you're building up rested XP. So your Guardian raids, your Chaos dungeons, and your Una dailies will develop rested XP that you can then spend on that character if you build it now. Fast forward to day one with Glaivier released and you now have your character selected. Make sure you do your dailies and your weeklies. Obviously, I think the best ones that are going to be worth doing here are going to be the ones for XP shards, life shards, and then when you're tier 3, do the honor shards. They'll start on Frost Hell Gaia, but you can also do your dailies for your Leapstones and your Guardian bonus. But then you can go back into the raid level 3 Guardians, Dark Lagoros, Helgaia, Calventus, and Akatis, and these will all give you the first time reward for clearing them once. Just make sure that you don't harvest their souls if you haven't done your daily Guardian raids yet, as they will give less rewards than the higher eye level versions. You can then go and do Gate of Paradise and Ark of Arrogance. These will give you more honing materials. And then at the end of these Abyss dungeons, you can spend a little bit of gold to get the bonus reward, which will give you even more honing materials. You can also do the dungeons in both of the tier 2 continents. on hard mode to get extra shards, and then if you want, you can do them on normal as well to get more crystals. This includes the Ruined Castle in Shady Cliff, the Cave of Sin in Red Moonshade, Wonderful Brewery in Black Anvil Mine, and Ark of Arrogance in Hall of Promise. You'll eventually want to do your tier 2 tower if you have the stomach. I know some people really don't like this, but if you start at 960, that means you can clear all the way up to about 425 to 28. It starts to get kind of hard after that, up to 960, but then you get a bunch of these materials if you've cleared it before on your main, all the way up until the end, which can give you a bunch of life shards if you need them as well. Make sure you're harvesting through life skills, your fusion materials, and then crafting them in your stronghold. You'll need a bunch of these in tier 2 and even more in tier 3 once you're there. So doing excavating, fishing, and hunting can really get a lot of these stored up prior to and after Glaivier comes out. And when all else fails, you have the auction house. So depending on how much gold you have at the time and how much you're looking to spend, you can then start picking up some of these materials. There will definitely be whales and big spenders that want to come in and get their Glaivier as their new main and stock them up as fast as possible. So they're probably going to clear out the auction house and try to push it as hard as they can. And that's it for preparations for Glaivier and beyond. Leave a comment down below if you're super excited for Glaivier or if you're going to be making it your main. But I do want to put a note, since this video is focusing on how to optimize, that this game is designed around regular play. You get the lion's share of what you need to progress in this game by just playing every day. So if you don't have a strong urge to rush, then don't. Just do your chaos dungeons, do your guardian raids, do your dailies, and your character will move up just like all your other characters will. Good luck, everyone. If you enjoyed yourself today, leave a like down below. You can support me and my work on Patreon and view Patreon exclusive content, link in the description. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll see you in the next one.